Good morning once again, and now we get to look at your responses to our poll question, which was simply asking, how can the government enhance protection and mentorship of the girl child amidst COVID-19? Hashtag UBCGMU. Now we do have a couple of responses here. Government has media, use it, pay for airtime and reach out to the target group. This is a gender ministry docket, act now. The Family Department of Police should also up its game. Handling gender-based violence and child neglect cases is not enough. Do we still have senior women? Are they only attached to schools now that are closed? Let's have such persons in society. Plus, wear masks, sanitize, wash hands, social distance, and get yourself vaccinated. We can't wait for the government always. And that is Tony Kent Chaze, who is on Magic 100 right now. We also do have another response here who's asking for an update on where the teachers can get their second job. Well, you are right in time with your question. You say that you're in Wakiso district, much in the municipality. Okay, well, we do have the doctor to answer that particular question for you on our Good Morning Uganda agenda with Robert Chirabo. Another response here, Dennis from Chotera, you are enjoying the show and thanks to your presenters, whom you duly love. Well, thank you so much for your response there. Another response here, finally, government should put laws against any abusers in Uganda. And I am Kawinya. Well, thank you so much, Kawinya, for that response. Our government should be able to put laws against any form of abuse, especially geared towards the girl child. Well, away from that, the Good Morning Uganda agenda is ready. Robert Chirabo is going to be talking about COVID-19 and the vaccination mass drive that is currently happening all over the country. And he's hosting a doctor expert to give us details in the update, the various vaccinations that we have on ground. And the question that is so lingering on everyone's mind is, if I have a vaccination A, can I, for first jab, can we do vaccination, the second jab being a different vaccine? The doctor should be able to clarify that. Over to you, Robert Chirabo.
Well, thank you, Priscilla, and thank you, everybody who keeps with us, giving us feedback and responding to our poll questions on any of the segment. Welcome to Good Morning Uganda agenda. And like Priscilla said, today we hope all your questions regarding vaccination, the exercise, are going to be answered very well with the expert we have in studios, who happens to be Dr. Alfred Duruware, who is the acting commissioner in charge of vaccines and immunization in our country, Uganda. So talk about vaccination, vaccines, immunization. He's the right person seated with me this morning in studios. A lovely morning to you, Doctor.
Good morning, Chirabo.
Well, we are excited to have you again.
As usual, I'm also excited to be here and touch base with the populace and to give the usual updates we give for people to make responsible and informed choices with respect to the control efforts against COVID-19.
Well, I love the fact people to make informed, wise decisions. Well, for our viewers, we rightly know that the economy must go back to normal. But if we remember very well, since the 10th, that is of March, the year 2020, when we began vaccination in Uganda. We must remember that is the time when we got our first vaccines in this country of COVID-19, and the exercise commenced. However, by then we had shortage of drugs, of vaccines. And I remember one time Dr. Alfred said clearly that the biggest challenge now is, even if you have money, you don't have anywhere to get these vaccines. But by and large, we've been able to have the vaccines, and now the challenge is not vaccines. The challenge is you taking that jab. The challenge is the manpower needed to expedite the process. Just looking at records, so far we have 1.8 million Ugandans that have been vaccinated. And out of these, we have 484,000 that are fully vaccinated. But remember, for schools to reopen, we have a set target, and that must be 4.8 million Ugandans must be vaccinated. Now, if you look at the figure of 1.8 million that have so far been vaccinated, gotten their first dose, you'll find out that this represents only 37% of what we need of the 4 12.8 million to have schools reopened. When we look at those that have fully been vaccinated, that is 484,000, you'll find that that is about 12.2%. So it's still a long journey to go. But we have Dr. Alfred, who will be throwing more light on this. And don't forget that also you will join our WhatsApp number and send in your views, your questions, what you need to know regarding the vaccination exercise. Doctor, when we look at these figures to begin with, one would say next year is not very far. One would say opening of schools is not very far. But it seems we are more of not moving so close to this figure in the record time we need. What could be the major hiccups to this?
Chirabo, at the beginning, the main challenge had been getting the vaccines. So the speed at which we would vaccinate people was limited by whether we have vaccines at hand or not. Now we have moved. The vaccines we need to vaccinate the 4.8 million people is in country, and it is with us. And there are those which are in pipeline. So by the end of December, we will have vaccinated 6 million people. So the 6 million people we vaccinate should include the critical 4.8 who are at high risk. So the challenge for us, number one, is as families, as individuals, to take the responsibility to ensure that the people who we have been outlining as high risk for severe disease and for at the highest risk of death should be mobilized and must be vaccinated. And if the excess is by other groups who are not in that critical group, then our opening will be safe. So the current bottleneck we have also is now different from what we had before. Number one was vaccines. Number two was the resistance from the public. There was a lot of misinformation, and which made it difficult for people to make responsible choices about their health. I am very glad to say progressively this picture has changed. Now, of every 10 people you find on the road, 8 of them are ready to take a vaccine. The other 2 are still asking questions, not that they have made up their mind not to take the vaccine. They are still asking a few questions. They want to understand it better. They want more information. You know, our president did that. When the vaccination exercise started, he said, no, I still want to understand more about these vaccines. And when he understood more, he came and took a jab. So interrogating a new intervention is a normal thing. But do not take it as a religion that for me I'm not going to get a vaccine. That is where the issue of responsible decision or responsible choice comes in. Ask those questions which must be asked, and you be given those answers, and you make responsible choices. You know, today I'm sounding more confident. Why? Because we now have our own experience as a country. The third wave taught the public that this COVID-19 is not a joking subject.
So Uganda's case, that was our second wave?
So that was our second wave. So most people had experience with the sickness itself or losing someone who is close. So you don't need to give lectures to Ugandans now, most Ugandans, that COVID is real and it is dangerous. So that milestone, we passed it. So we have now also our own statistics. Just to pick the experience of Mulago and Nambole, we had 1,400 people who were admitted, which means they were severely sick. To be admitted, it means you are really having to negotiate. You are sick. Oxygen is not enough for you. You are suffocating. These people who were severely sick, about half of them survived. This is a big number. And of those which had bad outcomes, we took the trouble to look into the data and say, what is it coming out of this? We looked at people in terms of their vaccination status. I can tell you those who were fully vaccinated, fully, the word is fully, none of them died. Those who were not vaccinated at all, they were most of those who lost their lives were in that category. Those who had started the journey of vaccination and got one, we lost some. But the number was far smaller compared to those who were not vaccinated at all. This is our own experience as a country. So this goes to emphasize that vaccines work. So if someone is still questioning whether vaccines work, I think he is going to be alone. The evidence we now have is vaccines work. So we passed the bottlenecks on vaccine supplies. We have overcome the vaccine hesitancy. If you get 80 out of 100, that is a very good performance. Now, the third challenge we're having and we're working on is that of making sure services are closer to the people so that they can access it with ease. You know, this is critical. You may understand that if a family has to go for water, to fetch water, 1 kilometer away, use of water in the house is rationed. So don't spoil water, don't fetch so much for bathing. That is because of scarcity. But when water starts coming nearer, there is now a water tap on the home, on the compound, and then you're having showers inside, the amount of water used per person starts to increase. In the same way, service uptake is critical. The distance to service point is critical. So, to respond to this, what we have done is to issue guidance to districts to ensure that services are nearer to the people so that you increase uptake. In the first phase of our vaccination exercise, from the start, vaccination activity was in health facilities, few health facilities. So that constrained uptake. Now what we're encouraging is leave the health facilities, work together with the parishes, carry outreaches to those locations so that the older persons you are targeting have a shorter distance to move.
Well, Doctor, rightly you've given us a very good background of the bottlenecks and how you've been able at least to deal with issues of mindset, scarcity. Those are no longer a problem. Now when we come to this outreach, I have a concern because we know vaccines are not just like any other form of medication, commodity. These are very, these one require high level of professionalism, even by just handling. I recently got to know, I'm into dogs, but there's a vaccine we use which is called Pavo. So the vet told me, once you hold that bottle in your palms, this temperature is already wasted. So as we are going for these outreaches, I've been able to come to some of them. How do we ensure safety of these drugs, safety of these vaccines, sorry, that the handling, how we have to package them, maintain them in these conditions that they require, is not compromised in the essence that we are going for outreaches, because we know these hospitals, these health facilities had better storage, better handling facilities, better experts. Now we are going to churches, we are going to the old taxi park, we are going to markets, we are going everywhere. How do we maintain this?
Right. Chirabo, immunization services globally are one of those services which penetrates communities very close to families. And even before COVID, for routine immunization of children, we have been penetrating communities, and these vaccines require lower temperatures than the environment in which we live. So one of the critical investments for a successful immunization program is cold chain, fridges, refrigeration. So as a country, we have invested with partners heavily into into fridges, fridges which are in every health facility. At least every health center 3 has a fridge. And when the vaccines are moved from factory to national medical stores, and from national medical stores to the districts, the vehicles are even refrigerated. And when we take it to the district, it is also in a refrigerator. From the district, you carry it in cold boxes, which are with ice packs. You carry it to the facility. Then from the facility, when you are moving, you see those boxes with which vaccinators move. That is also a fridge itself. It keeps those vaccines under lower temperatures for 36 hours. Now 36 hours is like 1.5 days. So to move out, the temperatures are maintained, and we spend a lot of time training every health worker before they are given the vaccines. Now, especially the one we are having in Kampala, which we are using now, Pfizer. Pfizer is taken, is kept in temperatures which are 80 times cooler than ice. Now, there is a whole process of handling it. When they're in national medical stores, we keep it at that temperature. But if we are going to use it, we cannot inject you with ice. So you have to get them out and keep them at a temperature which is within 2 degrees to 8. And we can now run it in our normal refrigeration system. And within 1 month, a vaccine which has been released from national medical stores, especially Pfizer and Moderna, these 2 vaccines, once it leaves national medical stores, within 1 month, the stock in that district must be completed. So now this transfers another pressure to the district level actors. And we are in constant conversation with the districts to make sure that no vaccine expires, because the vaccines are expensive. I can tell you these vaccines we are using in Kampala, a single dose at the farm gate price at the global level is no less than 50 to 60,000 per person. So look at the numbers of people we are vaccinating. That's the amount of money we spend in terms of vaccines at farm gate.
Well, Doctor rightly said that these vaccines are safe. Now let's look at also the human resource. I've gone to a couple of these centers and all vaccination points. One of the things you will find that, yes, now Ugandans, you want to thank them. There's usually a big turn up. But the issue has been with the manpower, where people come and queue, long lines. I was at KCCA and I witnessed this. I was at, that is Kisenyi Health Center 4. And I saw a huge turn-up of people. But the pace, how do we ensure that a person can come to a vaccination point and maybe in an hour's time, they're gone? How do we ensure we have that? So that it's normal. Let me go get my jab. In I come, I return to my work. Because we don't have any public holiday, neither should we recommend for vaccination. So people are now leaving their places of work. So it's like they're going for lunch or something, and you come back when you've had your vaccine.
Yeah, you know, I want to thank the the public in Kampala for their responsiveness. They are responsive because they know now that these vaccines work. Now, there is a challenge on our side which we're working on. First of all, in the other parts of the country, this challenge is there, but it's not as much as that of Kampala because of the congregation. The numbers of people are many, and when they move, they crowd the vaccination points, and the time is lost. And I want to thank them for being patient, and that is civility. Now, for KCCA, for the Metropolitan Kampala to say, we have adopted a number of models. First of all, as you have quoted Kisenyi, some of the health facilities are running routine services. We have also worked with KCCA to establish 4 designated high-volume outreach posts, which are mainly either a football pitch, Wangulukuku, Nambole, a school, like Kitande, Kamocha. So you move to a school, or this school opposite Old Kampala Mosque, Gaddafi Mosque, Bat Valley. These are large spaces, and then 4 of them per division. The aim is to create more service points, and as I speak now, there is a big vaccination point in Old Taxi Park and then in City Square. These are efforts to increase the service points, and now with Kampala KCCA on Saturday, we are going to have another big vaccination exercise at Kololo. Now, what is the principle? The principle is a large area which can accommodate large numbers of people, and to ensure that the people are not inconvenienced by this exercise, we have multiple vaccination points in that area. So you would have numbers ranging from 5 to 20 to 30. So you move in one location, but there are 30 vaccination points in that area, so that many people are served at a time. So one table, if you have 30, then you're having 60 vaccinators there, so that the activity moves faster. What we expect from our own people is a little bit of patience. The inconvenience is there. That inconvenience, as I say, that inconvenience is not comparable with the option of saying, this is an inconvenience, I'm not going to take this jab because I have no time. You do not know when the enemy will strike. So once you move to those places, set aside time while we are cognizant and working together with the healthcare managers at the division level to ensure that the service points are managed more efficiently.
Well, you rather spend an hour or 2 lining up waiting to get the jab than spending hours and days in ICU
or a month,
or a month where you're not sure or even if you recover. But doctor, this brings me also to something. How many vaccines do we have as Uganda, and how many doses should a person partake? Recently we were reading about World Health Organization talking about a 3rd jab. So people should know. We hear maybe Moderna, you get 1 shot and that is sufficient enough. AstraZeneca, you get 2 shots, and now we have maybe a 3rd. The Pfizer. So please throw more light on this.
Okay. So out there are more than 300 vaccines being tried for COVID-19. And as we speak, 5 to 6 are already in use. And 1 is already accepted, not under emergency use, but registered for use. So because we're dealing with the pandemic and there are many efforts being made, dealing with many vaccines is a reality we need to work on. Uganda has got three main streams through which vaccines will arrive here. We have a portfolio with the international community to receive vaccines as donations, equivalent to 9 million people. This portfolio is what has been servicing our vaccination program all along. And a number of vaccines are coming. Pfizer is coming through that, Moderna is coming through that, AstraZeneca is coming through that, and soon we will also get Johnson & Johnson through that. So as a program, what we do, as a ministry, what we do is to see that we issue clear guidance on which vaccine is used at what time and where. And this is the engagement we have at the technical level with the districts. Now, the other two portfolios are for vaccines which are bought by government of Uganda. And our commitments so far are for Johnson & Johnson, which you saw has already started coming into the country. And this month alone, we are going to receive additional 450,000 doses to the one. So our total for this month will go to 600,000. For next month, we will get about 700, and progressively thousands. And those numbers are going to be increasing. So the vaccines have been assessed for their safety and for their efficacy, their effectiveness. We are not complaining about those profiles. That's why we are using the way we do. So in terms of how much of each vaccine is given, how many doses is given to a person, listen to your vaccinator carefully and keep your card. Because the number of doses is indicated on your card. Of all the vaccines we have received, it's only Johnson & Johnson, which is a single dose. So we have not started using it in the public domain, but we allowed importation of Johnson & Johnson for some of the foreign missions who are here. So it was for a restricted use. Now we are going to start receiving ours. So it is only Johnson & Johnson, which is a single dose, and we will be issuing a statement on where these will go in the course of the week. The rest are two jabs. Pfizer, which is mainly now here in the metropolitan Kampala metropolitan area, is a 2-dose vaccine separated by 4 weeks. So say 1 month apart. This is what we'll use for Moderna, which is upcountry, also separated 4 weeks apart. For AstraZeneca, separated 2 to 3 months apart. So this is the timing for those vaccines and number of doses. But more importantly, when you start vaccination with one type of vaccine, we strongly advise, strongly emphasize that the decision we have as a country is for you to keep to the vaccine you have started.
Well, Doctor, let me first remind our viewers that you can be part of the topic of discussion this morning by sending in your concerns, your questions to the doctor in studios, and the number is 0709 60 25 92. That is our WhatsApp number. You can also use that to send an SMS message. That is 0709 60 25 92, and we'll be reading all the messages as they come in. But also you can use our other social media platforms, and I'll be reading the messages still there for you. And the expert, Dr. Alfred Uruware, who is the commissioner in charge of vaccines and immunization in Uganda, will be able to respond to all your concerns. So please just hit the internet and be able to send in those messages, those questions, and he'll be responding to them. Doctor, what informs the area of distribution? I have a colleague who was looking for Moderna in Kampala because he was in the USA and got Moderna. So now he's home and is due for vaccine.
let him go to Mpiji.
So what informs
now,
this?
Now, just to give that specific answer before we lose it. We consider this has nothing to do with the technical consideration because the vaccines work. So we are now looking at the programmatic or managerial issues. For example, I had said Pfizer, you need to have a fridge which cools the vaccine in a temperature which is 80 times that of ice. 80 times. Ice is cold enough, but you need 80 times what ice is. So the technology to keep that kind of temperature is one of the critical considerations we make, because we have these fridges currently in the national medical stores. We don't have it up country. So managing a vaccine of this type would be very complicated up country. So what we are managing as of now, at least as of now, that position may change in due course, but what we are managing now is limited quantities are changed to the 2 to 8 degree range and supplied within Kampala, Wakiso, and Mukono, so that once these vaccines are consumed, you run quickly back to national medical stores and refill these stores which are nearby. And this is our first wide-scale experience with such vaccines. Apart from that we used for Ebola, we have chosen to manage it in this way because of the technology around the vaccines. Other considerations will include Chirabo, if you were the district health officer of, let's say, Buvuma or Kalangala, you vaccinate a fisherman, he goes away into the lakes, maybe he finds himself already in Kenya or Tanzania, but that is his territory. He will disappear on you. But the important thing would be to say, can we give this person a vaccine which if you give it to him one dose and that's enough? Because for you as a district health officer to keep going into the to look for communities in the island, you need more effort, you need more money. So, and difficult health systems, weak health systems, you find a district where the staffing is very low, the population is sparse, and maybe it is insecure. Of course, that's not our main issue now. You would want to use a vaccine that once you have interface with the beneficiaries, you are done. So this is going to be one of our considerations. Another consideration will be a districts which are, right now in Uganda, all districts are reporting COVID-19 cases, but at lower rates. But we are beginning to see some districts where the number of cases is indicating that they are running a race very fast to the third wave. Districts which are along this Kampala-Gulu highway, they are showing relatively higher numbers of cases. We also see the Teso region, that Tororo, Konakamdin axis, is also having numbers which we are monitoring very closely. And another is, so in this way you begin to see that allocation of vaccines could be used to nip an emerging third wave in order to respond, in order to keep the numbers or to minimize adverse outcomes.
Well, let me remind our viewers, thank you for sending in the messages, but please kindly put your name. Kindly put your name if you're sending us a WhatsApp message or an SMS, because we need your name. And I'll begin looking at some of the messages that are coming in. Well, good morning, Doctor. Okay, this is me, Ingonian. I am Alino from March, India. My question is, are these doses for lifetime, for once, or he's asking, is it you take these doses and you're done, or will we still have to take more doses? Then, good morning to all. I'm in Entebbe. Where can I go for immunization for COVID-19? Thanks. That is a viewer in Entebbe. Then we heard, I was reading an article that Moderna has a cardiovascular effect in young people. Could you put some light to that? Still, I am 18 years. What vaccine is suitable for me? This is Deborah in Jomai Estates in Zambia. Thank you, Deborah, for watching. Still, good morning, moderator and Dr. Alfred. May I know if a person has hepatitis B, can they also be vaccinated? I have a relative with such an issue. I'll go for one last one. Where did Sinovac that was administered to teachers, did government know it would not get a second jab and hence delayed to open schools? That is also a question. I think let's first take a look at those.
Thank you very much, viewers, for those very constructive questions. I'm glad that you are following us and you have faith in what we are communicating. For Sinovac, we are expecting the doses on 17th of this month. So the logistical hitches which were there are now resolved. Last time we only received 300,000. We are now going to receive 700,000 doses of Sinovac, so it will be enough. The good thing with the COVID-19 vaccines is the longer intervals between doses seem to show that you get a stronger immune response. So it is to your advantage, although to your inconvenience. The vaccines are coming on 17th. We will vaccinate those who took their first jab, and we will give it even to more people who need it. Now, the questions were many.
That one of 18 years, which one is suitable?
So the vaccines which are in use are suitable for all age groups, 18 years and above, because the studies were done in this age group. From 18 years and above, you are able to consent. You are now an adult. So that's why the first phase of the study included that group. Now, additional studies are being done for the age groups which are younger. So that outcome has not come. But from 18 and above, it is safe for all age groups. What was the other question?
Hepatitis B.
Hepatitis B, if you are not hospitalized, go and get your jab. Because the people whom we prioritized first were people with diabetes, high blood pressure, liver disease, kidney disease, heart disease, lung disease. So these are people who need the vaccine to protect themselves. And therefore, I need to re-emphasize the misinformation. There are people who are prioritized because they are at high risk of severe disease. But I've also found there are people who say, because I have diabetes, I don't want to get vaccinated. I think that is unfortunate. If you have that condition, you should have been vaccinated yesterday. Hepatitis damages the liver, so you need the vaccine. As long as you are not hospitalized, you are not in a critical condition, the liver, if it is hepatitis, is being challenged by the virus. So you need by hepatitis virus, so you will be more susceptible to severe disease compared to someone who is not having hepatitis. So you need to be protected.
Well, there's an interesting message here, and many people have this question. My son doesn't have a national ID and they can't vaccinate him. Please advise. This is Oscar O in Ginger.
Oscar, that's a very good question. You have asked it for many. The national national ID is the gold standard. But we cannot deny a life-saving intervention because the card is not there. So I advise that you take your son who is eligible to the vaccination point. Your ID can be used as a chaperone. You can stand, your ID can be, your son will be linked to your ID. If you are an adult, you can get the ID of your LC. So your identity is linked to your LC's ID or telephone number. But the most important of all is you need to know the number of someone whose ID was used for linking you. So in addition, you can use a passport if you are a foreign national. You can also use driving license. You can use school ID. So we have trained the healthcare workers on this this issue. So, and for districts which, if a frontline health worker is not aware of these options, please get in touch with your biostatistician. He is the authority in this area in your specific district.
Well, that has been answered regarding identification document. Then we have a good morning. My name is William from Mbale. My question is, what is the impact of getting the jab in time? Because I got from first jab, but getting the second jab is becoming hard due to unavailability of the vaccine.
So as long as you have not gotten exposed to COVID infection, the vaccine interval, if you get COVID, if you get AstraZeneca, for example, after 1 month, another one gets after 2 months, another one gets after 3 months, the person who gets after 3 months gets a better immune response. So it is good that you're on the lookout. The vaccine will be given to you. It is not a loss on you. It is even to your advantage. So bear with us the inconveniences of the shortage of vaccines. Once you hear that the vaccines are now available, go and take. You should not be bothered about the interval, but keep on the lookout to get the doses.
One is also asking something in relation to that. He says the actual effects of not getting the second jab in time is running.
No, there is no after effect. So I'm explaining what is for you is actually an advantage.
Then one who chooses not to go for a second jab, also a similar question is there. Now, what happens in case someone doesn't go for a second jab?
Now, I started by pointing the risk of outcome, bad outcome, for people who are severely ill and admitted. Those who are not vaccinated died more, followed by those who were partially vaccinated. Then those who were fully vaccinated, none of them died in that study group. Now, this is something to emphasize. I want to emphasize that the people we are calling fully vaccinated are those who have gotten all the recommended number of doses and 2 weeks after the second dose. This is the definition of a fully vaccinated person. So if it is AstraZeneca, you take your first jab, you take your second jab, 2 weeks after the second jab, you are now considered fully vaccinated. And there are issues, so if you get one jab, you are partially protected. And the benefit you get is not like that of someone who is fully vaccinated, like some of us.
Well, Doctor, thank you so much for throwing more light on this. But also there is a concern for people to know the vaccines we purchased as a country. There were allocations to that. How far have we gone? Briefly.
So we received the first consignment of Johnson last week, 196,000 doses. And we are going to present this to the top management to see how it gets allocated. So we are going to be expecting 400 more this month, 700,000 next month. We are also expecting 2 million doses of
That is
Sinopharm.
purchased from our money.
Purchased
Then our own
with-
vaccines, we are in a pipeline of making ours as a country.
So this Ugandan-made vaccine, it's a process, and it lies in another ministry. So I think it would be the Ministry of Technology, Science and Innovations, which is in a better position. For me, my job is to use the vaccines which are already made, and I pay more attention to it than the ones which are under development. So that ministry can clarify on that position.
Well, I want to thank you so much, Dr. Alfred Duriwale, for having found time to throw more light regarding vaccination. Many messages are here, but I want to thank you so much. I'll find a way through which doctor can get them and maybe respond to you. Have a lovely day. Ruben is here to give you all the sports updates and, of course, those catchy stories. God bless you. Stay safe. Embrace vaccination. Good morning.